The biggest turning point for Call of Duty of all time was MW 2019. I think that's really when Call of Duty made this shift that it's never going to come back from. Movement-wise, and then of course with the introduction of Warzone did change COD forever. But because of that time in 2019, every game after that has been way different than predecessors to it. And I think Cold War was so strange. And I think it will stand out as time goes on as a very oddball game because it kind of broke away from everything. And then we went back to Vanguard, MW2, now MW3, and they more or less have been a new style of Call of Duty.
Welcome everyone to episode 175 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, bro.
Yeah.
Doing great. Yeah, dude. We were just saying beforehand, man, we haven't done an online one in a minute. It's been since February, the last episode that we put out. So it's really weird. Like we were setting up all our stuff and I'm like, damn, dude, I had to go dust the cobwebs off the lights. I had to go like find my mic stand. It's been a while, but yeah, dude, I'm doing good. I mean, we've been hustling away with work and with life. It's been a busy one. We're doing this at just about 8 o'clock at night. Just a late night episode. So I'm chilling. I can't complain. Got the A&W on standby, you know. How you doing?
Pretty good. I mean, like you said, I was gonna get back. I thought by 6 o'clock to record, and then I texted you. I was like, "Yeah, that's not happening." So,
was it just work?
Yeah, work. And then, I literally got back. I got gas, got back, and then got ready and started recording.
Yeah, and here we
I'm
are.
Starving.
What do you think you're gonna do for dinner? You're gonna do McDonald's? You thinking? Or are you gonna?
I don't know. Kind of want Wendy's, but I don't want to drive like that far to Wendy's.
Because I'm thinking the Wendy's that we would go to, right? That's the closest.
Yeah, that's the only one. Yeah,
that's a bit of far. And what's on the way? McDonald's.
Exactly. Yeah, McDonald's is the closest thing. I don't know. Maybe might do that.
Yeah. That might be a move. Just don't DoorDash it, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, that's the biggest trap, dude. I see people who bro, they go and they DoorDash all the time. I'm like, man, unless you're making six figures, I don't get how you can consistently
do it.
That.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's so bad. I've fallen for it too. There's been like
a
week or two, like a span of like a week or two where I'm like, I'll just order like not McDonald's, like just whatever, anything from DoorDash, and I'm like, damn, why'd I do that? Like after I ate.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's always my thing where there's like this Vietnamese restaurant near me, and I'll go and I remember I like at DoorDash like a banh mi sandwich, and I think it was like pork dumplings or something like that. And it was like $29 or $30. And I was like, shh. But then I went there and I ordered it. Like, just, I walked and picked it up and it was like $18. I'm like, dog, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, just getting absolutely robbed because I don't want to walk like a quarter of a mile to this place, or drive 2 minutes down the road, Yeah, so it's definitely a trap.
Oh yeah, we've all fallen for it. The convenience factor, like it's just so nice. Like I could order right now, and by the time we finish, my food will be ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that though. I got gas, so I'll go drive and get
it. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, man. I mean, otherwise we've just been chilling. I mentioned the topic that I want to talk about at hand, which I think a lot of people will enjoy talking about because it's a very debated topic. I feel like in the past. I don't know. How long would you say? Just the past like recent years, or has it been a topic that's been going on for a long time?
I would say I think it's been going on for a while, but I think people have been really talking about it ever since, I guess, Warzone came out, like the new era of COD. So 2019.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that's when our topic of today is Call of Duty. Well, how do you word it? Is Call of Duty good or worse now?
Yeah, is it getting better or is it getting worse?
Yeah.
And like you said, I think for me, like jumping into it, my opinion is I think, I don't know if it really got worse from this point, but the biggest turning point for Call of Duty of all time was MW 2019. I think that's really when Call of Duty made this shift that it's never going to come back from. movement wise, and then of course with the introduction of Warzone 2, that I mean Warzone did change COD forever, but because of that time in 2019, every game after that has been way different than the predecessors to it. Um,
Yeah.
and I think Cold War was that's why that game was so strange. And I think it will stand out as time goes on as a very oddball game because it kind of broke away from everything. And then we went back to Vanguard, MW2, now MW3, and they more or less have been a new style of Call of Duty. Um,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wonder if we're
I
going to get that with Black Ops 6.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly Tac Sprint is staying in Black Ops 6, which does suck. But yeah, I think the turning point was Warzone. Like,
Yeah,
I'll say Warzone ruined multiplayer for COD, the COD experience. Uh,
I agree with that.
Warzone should have been its own standalone. So like, I completely get it. It does make sense why you want everything to merge into one because you get casuals like us that enjoy multiplayer and ranked, and then they can just go right into Warzone, and it's the same movement, same type of stuff. That totally makes sense. But from a gamer's perspective, multiplayer should be its own thing, and Warzone should be its own separate like entity, because we did an episode like way back about the different eras of Call of Duty and like what our favorite era was, and we broke it up into four. It was like old traditional Call of Duty, boots on the ground, um, jetpacks, and then I guess like this modern tax sprint, modern era. So three different categories. Actually, no, it was four. The first one was actually like regular Call of Duty, like before they added perks and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it is weird. That there have been four different eras, and they keep innovating, and then they change it,
Yeah.
right? But it's hard to see, like say Treyarch, they decide to change it, which I don't think they will, but it's hard to see them move away from like what Warzone is now just because of the success of Warzone. Like I think we'll stay in this era for a long time unless they decide, all right, multiplayer is completely separate from Warzone, or Warzone is just falls off completely.
Yeah, which the whole idea of BRs, I don't see that falling off anytime soon. I think that's always going to have a mass appeal. Um, and to your point, like there's just for me, there's too much money involved. You know, the crossover of people who want to be playing Warzone, who then would want to go and play W3 or play Black Ops 6, they want that cross integration all the time. I mean, that's the main reason why they've done what they've done and why they've added guns and had, very similar perk systems and stuff. Granted, they play the exact same, like movement wise. For I would say, like probably 95% of it is, um, but maps and modes and all that is what the main difference is. But for us, like if you want to play Warzone, then just go play Warzone, and that's the feeling. Like it's a heavier feeling type of Call of Duty. It's trying to be a bit more realistic. I get that, but when you go to these, just multiplayer games, to me, it's supposed to feel very arcadey, and I feel like since 2019, it's had this shift towards like realism a little bit. You know what I mean? Like just being a
Hmm.
bit heavy and feel like weighted. Not saying it's slow or anything, but just the overall feel of it, it kind of took a step towards more like Battlefield to me,
Hmm.
um, which suits a battle royale. But for me in multiplayer, that's not what I'm looking for at all. And I think, like you said, they're just going to stick with this for a really long time until BRs at some point die out and they're like, all right, it's time to go and make the break
Hmm.
and, have multiplayer just be its own thing again. Um, but I don't see that happening in the next 5, 6 years. I mean, Warzone is still so popular and it's gonna stay popular. It makes so much money for Call of Duty. They're like, why don't we just try to make it so similar to the multiplayer experience? And then people might go over and start playing that and spend money on stupid skins and whatever they got.
Yeah, and the appeal of Call of Duty back in the day was, I mean, we still sort of get it, but every single year we get a new COD, right? Technically, we still do now, but in the most recent years, like outside of Cold War, right, you can kind of say it's been the same type of COD.
Yeah.
just because strictly like the movement. Um, yeah, you can argue all the other CODs like, oh, it's boots on the ground, like they all feel the same. I would definitely argue it's the concept is the same, but the game does not feel the same. The movement feels very different, even when it's boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And then even when they added jetpacks, the jetpacks are all different. Uh, Going from MW19, Vanguard, MW2, and MW3, it's all like different variants of like that game. I'd say, like they're
Yeah.
very very similar. Um, so I think you can make a pretty good argument of that. In the most recent years, these CODs have been the same, but that was like the whole appeal of the CODs back then. Like when people got bored of the game, look, they go and innovate and they start adding jetpacks in. Like every single year, it would be different. And then they did the era of jetpacks for 3 years. People didn't like it, and then they went back to boots on the ground. And now the whole argument is popping up where you know is did we miss like the good times? Like were the jetpacks actually really good, or is that just because we're playing in modern COD right now and we think this is really bad? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Jetpack Era was really good. Um, I did enjoy it. I think I would enjoy it a lot more now having a scuff and playing on it that way instead of having to be boosting and like using my finger to move around. Um, but yeah, I mean, you gotta like, what is it the term? You look through like rose colored glasses or something like
Yeah,
that
rose tinted
nowadays.
glasses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because again, we don't have that. Um, but this is totally personal, but I never felt tired from the Jetpack Era. You know, I
Mhm.
felt from the first one, like with AW, I remember that was such a shock to people when that came out. People are like, I think it's one of the most disliked COD trailers because they started seeing people jump around and boosting with jetpacks, and they were like, "No, no, that's not COD." But
Mhm.
that was because of Titanfall. You know,
Mhm.
it was clearly a trend that Call of Duty was trying to just hop on with. And I played a little bit of AW. I wasn't insane into it, but then Black Ops 3 came out, and that's where like you and I were obsessed with that game. You
Mhm.
know, again, they had the elements of advanced warfare, but then they took it into the Treyarch realm and for me, I think they perfected it. I thought jetpacks were the best in Black Ops 3.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
this the whole experience with the maps, with the guns, everything about it was really good. The wall running was phenomenal too.
Mhm.
And and then yeah, IW came out, and that was for me that I did not like that COD. I didn't play it very much. I know some people maybe love that one, but I didn't really care for it because at that point I just I don't know. It wasn't like it was something about the game I just wasn't crazy about. It wasn't necessarily the jetpacks themselves. It was just the whole experience. It was kind of feeling
Mhm.
like a little, I don't know, like it was going almost too far away from COD. But then the
Yeah. Yeah.
next year they got rid of it. They were done. So
Mhm.
it was only a couple of years that we were in this jetpack era. You know,
Yeah. And
and the CODs in
I,
between that, right? Weren't there? There were, well, yeah, there were boots on the ground CODs. I thought, or no, was that
no, no,
all back to back?
it was all back to back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
and funny enough, in Infinite Warfare, that was like the most refined jetpacks,
yeah.
like according to everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't even play it because I was just stuck in Black Ops 3. I just enjoyed that game so much.
Yeah.
Just kept playing that. And
Hit level 1,000, bro.
yeah,
For all
and then
modes.
almost, yeah. It was like 900 something.
Yeah.
Master, yeah.
Yeah.
And then World War II came out. They went back to boots on the ground and it
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that like I enjoy jetpacks too. For the most part, like the only game that I haven't liked at all, honestly, is World War II. Just that game.
Yeah.
But I I don't like it because it's boots on the ground. Like I'm not a fan of the game.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
yeah, and I can just I don't know. Feel like you and we can adapt to whatever they add. We do like innovation, but not uh I'm not going to say too much. I think we just find the joy or we make the best for what's given to us. like
Yeah.
Vanguard, the innovation of breakables, right? That was stupid. That was just dumb.
Yeah.
But we still grinded out through that game, and then it wasn't our favorite, obviously, nowhere near that, but we enjoyed like some pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know if you go back to the review of Vanguard, I mentioned that like the automaton was a fun gun to use, and it was fun in pubs, like frying with it. Like it
Yeah.
was really really satisfying. Um, and yeah, like it's weird going back and seeing what COD was back then versus now. And a lot of eras in COD were in increments of like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And in this era, what we've gone 4 titles: MW19, Vanguard, 20,
Yeah.
MW2, MW3. Yeah, like
Yeah. It's been 4 years
four
of it.
titles of that tax sprint era.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Black Ops 6 is supposed to have that too. So it's going on 5.
Yeah, and I don't see that it's going to change at all
Mm.
anytime soon, because I don't see this the same way as a trend, like I was saying with the jetpacks, um or having like one idea that they think is really good and they're like, "Oh, let's keep it going." And then after a while they're like, "Okay, the community is kind of sick of it. Let's go move on to something else." Because the people in Warzone, as far as I know, I don't think many people in Warzone are complaining about the movement of how that game is, you know?
Mm.
I think cuz it is what it is, you know? They complain about the maps and some of like the rotations and stuff, but the actual way the game plays, I don't think is necessarily a big issue for them.
I think it
Um,
was the movement piece what that made it feel weird was MW2, because
yeah,
there's no slide canceling.
right, right,
And but that's the other thing that they have to figure out, right? Like Warzone, if it was launched as its own entity and it's not tied into like whatever game it is, it wouldn't matter, because I think everyone would agree that the best Warzone was MW19, like that era of
100%.
Warzone, 2019.
Yeah,
It felt really good. Obviously, it was brand new, you know, BR, Call of Duty, and it just felt really smooth and they knocked it out of the park. But ever since like all the other CODs came out after that, they continuously kept updating it. And then Warzone, like Verdansk, is just gone,
yeah,
right? Like it's Warzone 2 now, and it doesn't feel the same.
right. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same at all, and that's what you hear so many people complain about on the Warzone side. You know, for for us, I don't know. I just don't know what they're gonna do or when they're gonna do it, and that's why we've said so many times on previous episodes with Black Ops 6. That's why I'm very curious about this because yeah, there is so much hype, and don't get me wrong, like I know you and I are equally excited for it, but I'm wondering if this is going to be a Cold War type game where it's a weird game that they've kind of broken away from the mold of the recent CODs that we've been playing, or it's going to be very similar to what we've been playing movement wise and everything, but it's Treyarch's version of it, you know? But it's still going to
Mm,
feel very similar to us. Or we're going to play it and we're going to play it like Cold War and be like, "Whoa, what is this?" Because I
mhm.
hope it's like that. I hope I
Yeah,
play it and I'm not familiar with it at all.
yeah, and the thing is, I feel like if they completely got rid of tax sprint, like that's the solution in my opinion. If you want to keep Warzone and multiplayer, tied together,
Yep.
remove tax sprint and just make the character faster.
Yeah.
And I don't think any person in Warzone will complain about that. Like
Why haven't they done that?
yeah, I don't know. I feel like tax sprint isn't complained as much on the Warzone side because that's all they ever knew when it was launched.
Yeah.
When us, playing Call of Duty for years, there was no tax sprint. The movement was either like, you push in and you run, you
Yeah.
sprint, or you had jetpacks,
Yeah.
right? Like this whole tax sprint mechanic is 100% the worst mechanic that Call of Duty has ever added into their game. 100%. And I'll definitely argue that to the ends of the earth, because it's another input and mechanic that's not even needed at all. Like the
Yeah.
amount of times that people would get caught, and you and I both get caught with their guns up And yeah, you can say, "Oh, it's a skill issue," blah blah blah. Well, it's a timing issue too. You know, like that just sucks. You know, like
Y-
dying like that with your weapon up just because you decide to go and sprint, and the fact that there's an option to put on auto tack sprint. Like, why is that even an option then? You know what I mean?
Right, because it pretty much negates the whole reason why they put this in there in the first place.
Hmm.
You know? It's like, "Oh, yeah, if you don't wanna have this one mechanic that we continue to constantly add in here and make the game harder, if you wanna just make it easier for yourself, just go and do this," you know?
Yeah.
But it's always, again, you put your gun up when you're doing it, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I hate it too. I agree with you. It is far and away the worst thing that they've come up with. I don't understand why they did in the first place. I don't know who was asking for it. Um, but in recent years, that's been a thing for them. Like with remember when they did that in what was it, MW2, um, with the lack of red dots? It was the
Hmm.
same thing. They tried it for like years and years, like well, mainly with MW19, then Vanguard, and people were like, "Nope, please stop doing this." And then they'd add that in, and then MW2, they did the same shit again. People were like, "Why do you keep doing this?" And they
Hmm.
were like, "No, we're gonna go through with it." You know, I don't understand this. I don't know who these people are that come up with these decisions when the masses of fans come out and say, "Please don't do this. Please get rid of tax sprint. Please don't get rid of red dots." And then they go against us, you know. And we have
Yeah.
another year of COD with the tax sprint, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to go buy a fucking new scuff because
Yeah.
because my hand, and I'm gonna have to go and start getting PT on my thumb because it's so jacked up from playing. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And like I'm pretty confident that Treyarch's gonna have it in the game, which again, like I think you and I can move past attack sprint just because like it's movement,
Yeah.
you know, like if you don't move in the game you're not gonna do anything in the game. So
Oh
you
yeah.
literally have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And again, we adapt, but it is the worst mechanic in the game that they've ever added.
No doubt.
But if Treyarch could figure out something where like this would be cool, where you had to add like a perk or something to attack sprint, or make tax sprint like a field upgrade.
Yeah.
Um, I think that'd be really cool if tax sprint was a field upgrade and you get like a slight boost in like sprinting.
Yeah, there'd have to be something like that. Yeah, like lightweight or marathon kind of a deal, you know, where
Hmm.
there is some benefit to using it.
Hmm.
If they were going to be doing that, because otherwise now it's nothing. There's nothing that benefits you from doing it.
Yeah,
You know.
it's literally just like timing because I think a lot of people would want to use that perk or field upgrade and like search so you can
Yeah.
get to a position faster or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I My dream would be Treyarch completely getting rid of tax sprint and just going against Warzone and
Yeah.
making multiplayer its own thing because they just know how to make multiplayer. But also, they know how to make multiplayer, so I'm just gonna trust them. Like I probably won't think about it really when
Right.
the game comes out. But yeah, I don't know. The question of has COD gotten better or worse over the years? Like that question's very open ended. It can be, you know, very open ended on your end and my end.
Well, yeah. So I think, like, regarding, like, on this chapter of it, I think Call of Duty has. I think it has gotten like better in the sense that there's you know, I'm trying to think of the way to word this. I mean, Call of Duty right now is bigger than it's ever been. You know, that's a fact. There's no real way to deny that. And that's really because of Warzone. So regarding numbers wise, Call of Duty has been more successful than it's ever been. And I'm sure with money made too because of microtransactions and everything that they add in regarding bundles and stuff, it's been very successful. Um, but I would say, speaking for myself on just a personal level with these CODs, um, I think it's not that the games have become harder to play. It's just that they've like the amount of intuition to play some of these games now has gone away. I think it's become too complicated. And it hasn't been as user friendly as like previous CODs were. Because next thing I was going to be asking about is if you think there was a glory years of COD, like where it was at its peak. Um, And I totally think, like, obviously our MW3 years, like Black Ops 2 into that, I think that was a phenomenal time. But even just prior to this whole stretch that we've been talking about, I think in like the Black Ops 3 to Black Ops 4 realm, for me, those years of COD, like Black Ops 4 is almost as perfect of a Call of Duty as it gets. That was when it was so good because the system that they had in place was so simple to understand, like all the things we've talked about before regarding attachments, regarding guns, was it maps that they had, modes, like their rank system, everything in those games made sense.
Yeah,
You
and
could be a
they
veteran or you could be a complete beginner and you could pick it up and do it.
yeah, and Treyarch innovated by adding specialists. Like that was new to COD, but
Right.
they did it well. And yeah, I think Treyarch will do something like that again with Black Ops 6. I don't know what they're gonna do, but they always try something new. And
Yeah.
when they try something new, it's usually successful. Um I don't yeah, again, like I don't know what they're gonna do, but yeah, in terms of like you said, in terms of numbers, COD is definitely way better. It's up, and it is because of Warzone, and the CDL started because of like 2019, like that era, right? And regardless if that's worse or not, because we know what's been happening with the CDL and stuff, and you could argue the CWL was much better, and I would slightly agree because management was different back then. Now it's just a business, but it's definitely interesting because I would say the glory days of COD would be that MW, or no, I would say yeah, the COD 4 to like that Black Ops 2 era. Um, Personally for me, like that's when like I started joining COD and playing it, and that's when I like fell in love with it. But I'm really trying to think like where I had the most fun. I mean, it had to be like MW3 just because how old we were and like how much hours and days we could put into the game.
Yeah.
But I loved like BO3 and through like the Black Ops 4 era.
Yeah.
Uh and it's just a theme. Treyarch just they hit every single time the game comes out.
Yeah. No, I would say, yeah, that era that we're talking about there, like along with you, from COD 4, World at War, MW2, Black Ops 1, MW3. And then for most people, of course, they'd be yelling right now, Black Ops 2, throw that in
Mhm.
there as well. Like that stretch of 5 to 6 years of Call of Duty, those were the best. And I don't really know what to attribute it to. I don't know if it's because the CODs before, if people were around to play those, like from COD 1 to COD 3, like I mean, I've said before, like I played Finest Hour a lot, but it was campaign. Like shit, I don't know
Mhm.
if there was a multiplayer scene for that, but Medal of Honor was with it too, and those games were getting popular regarding single player. But yeah,
Mhm.
COD 4, just the fact that it had multiplayer that was relatively fleshed out. And that, of course, too, was I think that was the first COD that was on the next gen consoles at the time. I think that
Mhm.
was the first COD that came out on PS3 and Xbox 360. So it was like for us, you didn't have to pay anything or have any weird setup. You just had your console that supported it, and then Xbox, you
Mhm.
could just go and you could pay your subscription for Xbox Live and play it. I think that had a big part of it too,
Yeah.
regarding the online stuff. But man, like those games are so simple,
Yeah, yeah,
you
and
know?
they're very arcadey, like there isn't really like an ounce of realism in it. Like when you go and play it.
Yeah,
Um Compared to now where they do want to make it more realistic, like it feels heavier, it's
yeah,
heavier, clunkier technically, like if you go back and play those older games, they 100% feel like an arcadey type of shooter,
yeah,
which at the end of the day, that's what Call of Duty is. Um, Now, do I think if you took those games and put them in now, like in the modern era, if they would be successful? I think they would to an extent. There is something to say about the new CODs and like how they run, and you know, removing tax sprint, like how cracked you can be at the game.
Yeah.
Uh like if we could play BO3 or BO4 on like how the new games feel, we would be gliding around the
Yeah.
map. It
Yeah.
would feel so smooth. And
Yeah.
again, that's just it's better technology. It just, the consoles can handle way more. Could you imagine playing that on 120 hertz
Yeah, it'd
or
be insane.
240? You'd be just gliding around the map.
It would be so fun. But, like, and I just saw a clip of this, before, like, talking about, I think it was Scump when he was talking about that, Nate Shot versus Banks thing, and they were playing on 360s,
Hmm.
and Scump was like, "Dude, you don't even understand, like, going from 240 like FPS and now playing on 30, and Bose was joking about it. He's like, dude, you zoom in on the scope, like shit like that was not there is now there, and then you zoom out and stuff's gone, you
Hmm.
know? Like that was just what we grew up in.
Yeah.
And you're used to that. And we've just, as time has gone on, we've slowly gotten used to the technological changes.
Hmm.
Um, because dude, now if we went back and played MW3 on the PS3, we'd think it's a joke. We'd be like,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
how did we ever play on this?
Yeah.
You know?
Like I remember when they first introduced the FOV slider in 2019. And I was like, why would anyone ever use this? And then I just like
Seriously.
I don't even bump it up all that much, but
Right.
it makes the game more open and it just feels so much better.
Yeah.
But again, like back then, that's all we knew.
Yeah.
We didn't have the ability to, open our FOV more
Yeah.
or anything.
Bro, on those old CODs, you couldn't like I don't maybe I was too stupid, but I don't think you could do much in the way of settings on there, like to actually
No, it's
change your
just
game. It was pretty
sense.
much just plug and yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sensitivity and like how big your screen was to
Yeah.
adjust it to your box TV.
Hmm.
That was all that there was. Um But yeah, now you just get accustomed to all these changes. And like for that sense, it's been better. But there's also a part of it, like we mentioned, I think on the last episode, talking about some things with COD and with X Defiant about the amount of settings, how it's unnecessary. It's just
Hmm.
too much, like that innovation and that tech. It's good that we have it now, but in these Call of Duties, I kind of see that as a detriment. It's like I just see that as it's too complicated and it's another factor that people are going to be thinking about and tripping out about when they're playing the game.
Hmm.
When for me, Call of Duty should not be that. It's like, man, you just gotta just get good at the game. Don't
Hmm.
be worrying about your dead zone being like 0.01 off and thinking that's going to change the world for you. You
Yeah,
know?
I think I agree with you there. There's a lot of like good tech that's been added. Like I do think the dead zone thing is a good idea, but it depends on the person
Yeah.
because people will get caught up on that like point one adjustment.
Right.
Like dead zone is good for a lot of people that have like older controllers and you just get stick drift eventually on every controller. But a lot of people get caught up in those numbers and like
Yeah.
I'm one of them, but I just past couple years I've just not really like done anything. I move it to what I like and then I just don't touch it. Um and like I play fine, you know. But it's like the complications in the gunsmith. You're just adding too many settings for no reason. Um but yeah, like I think that specifically the technology, it can be really good. And I'd much rather take that over the complications that they've added into COD, like going super heavy into the gunsmith.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like a couple of people have said and responded to us that they enjoy the gunsmith, like with all the different attachments and trying out different things. And that's exactly what, Call of Duty wants you to do. Which, I want to know what the split actually is, if a lot of people do like it or not, because we're
Yeah.
on the fence of we don't care for it. It doesn't add like any value really. Like we just pick the guns that we like, and we stick to those same couple attachments, right? But that is also because we're in ranked, you know, all the time, and we watch competitive, so we want to use the best weapon with like the best attachments. And
Yeah.
we just know that like I'm not adding like an ACOG sight and some weird grip to this weapon for, and it's gonna be worse.
Yeah, you just know it's gonna be worse, so you don't even bother.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair, and it's all, like, user experience, this is just our opinion on the stuff.
Mhm.
It's like, I disagree with that. Like, I think the gunsmith for me, it is way too complicated,
Mhm.
for most people. Now, again, it is for some of those people, they enjoy that stuff, and again, that like, fair play to them. But just how we play the game, when I find out what's the best thing, which in, say, I don't know, 100 attachments in total that there may be, there's maybe 10 of those across all the categories combined that are probably going to make that gun way better. So then for me, my whole thought process is okay, I got to just figure out which one of these 10, which combination of them do I really like and it's going to suit my play style. And then all the other ones, I will never touch those and I'll never look at them because they're going to make this gun worse
Mhm.
you know? And it's just not a play style that I would ever care for, like you're saying. Like, okay, yeah, you can have a thermal or like a 5x zoom on the Rival 9. I'm like, okay. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
congrats. Like
Yeah.
that's cool. You're a moron if you're gonna be using that though. Like
Mhm.
you're gonna get cooked all the time and you're like, dude, it's the problem. I'm like, you're using an
Mm.
attachment that should not even be on that gun, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, I can see both sides to it, and I'm definitely on the side of it's too complicated. I've said that before. We don't need this many attachments. Um,
Mm-mm.
but then I can also see the very, very casual person that's like, I'm just gonna hop on and try this out. Like you make like a trolley class, right? Which I bet if you gave a trolley class to you or I, and you know, a person that's a little bit better than average, they're gonna do like all right with that weapon,
Yeah,
right? And yeah, it is fun to use like a trolley weapon, but it's not like we're gonna be doing that all the time. And I feel like the people that are trying out those weapons that are putting like an ACOG sight on the Rival 9 and running around with that and dying, they're the ones getting mad over and over and over again. And they're saying everyone's hackers or
right,
whatever, right? Like, well, they're just setting themselves up for like failure just because
right,
of the class is bad.
right,
But I don't know. There is a fine line. Like we don't need 100 attachments. At most, uh each category should have like 8 max,
yeah,
right? Like I very much I like the old school way where each category has like 3 to 5, you
yeah.
know? Keep it
I like that
very,
too.
very simple. But if you want some variety and stuff, then you can add a couple more. But again, we don't need 100.
Yeah. Well, and again, think back to like what we were saying. I mean, like those best years of Call of Duty, like, I mean, thinking about MW2 or MW3, because those are the ones that are fresh in my mind
Mhm,
right now. Think about every attachment that was on the ACR,
mhm,
right? Like all your sights, all like your, the only other things that you had, like from, there was no muzzle. It was just, you could do what? Suppressor, FMJ, I think you could
mhm,
add on there. You had your red dot, holographic, ACOG, maybe a thermal.
mhm.
You might have had that on there. And then what else? Like extended mags.
Yeah,
I think that was it.
yeah.
I'm trying to even think if there was
It was
anything
up
else.
to yeah, it was up to like 3 attachments.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
maybe like because I don't know if you could do it
per
in
perk.
MW3. I think you could, but you do grenade launchers on those?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it. And all those attachments made your gun better,
Mhm,
in some way they would
mhm,
make your gun better. Um, like you could find combinations of people. Like I always would use just the suppressor. I all the
mhm.
time because I mean that gun in that game was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, laser. But like you could just get away with using a suppressor on them, you could be fine. But there were plenty of people who didn't like the irons on there, and they would fry with a red dot,
Mhm.
or it's like, if you were crazy and you wanted to use the ACOG, but the ACOG was still not that bad on there.
Mhm.
Whereas some of these guns now, there's these attachments on there that they make little to no difference with it, or when they're combined with another attachment, it makes the base gun worse,
Mhm.
you know? And I'd probably say that's fair to say for like 90% of the player base is going to get worse if you add this attachment
Mhm.
combo on there. Because and again, how would you know with it? Because there's so many, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Mhm.
Like my whole idea of why I loved that era of like just building classes and custom classes is because you could have 5 or 6 classes and you could have a lot of different combinations of one gun, you
Mhm.
know? Now it's like you could probably have 7,000 different Rival 9s or MCWs and
Mhm.
you'd be scratching the surface for the amount of combinations there. You could just go in and be like, "Oh, let's try." Because you could do 2 attachments in MW3, right? Or
Yeah.
did you have to have a perk for it? I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure you can do 2 attachments.
Because MW2 you had to have bling, I
Yeah.
remember.
Mhm.
Um, but you're like, "Okay, let's try red dot suppressor." You're like, "Okay, I don't like the suppressor. Let's do like red dot FMJ, you
Mhm.
know?" And then you kind of just go from there. You're like, "Okay, I like this red dot." You don't got to be like, "All right, which red dot do I like?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
which one?" Because there's 50 of them.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
way
I
too
th
complicated.
Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, you and I, like, we want things to be more simple. Like, we don't need to add so much complexity. Uh, but I like, realistically, if you took away all the attachments and we went back to what it was back then, like 2 attachments, 3 attachments max on your primary weapon, but they give us, like, really, really good maps, then I don't think many people would care. I think the combination of the weapons with the maps and obviously like the time that we were in made that era so much fun.
Yeah.
Um and I think CODs now, like, they have that. Like, if you play MW3, like today's MW3, I think that game's really, really fun. Like,
Yeah.
how you move around the map, it's really smooth. I don't feel clunky on it. Um the best weapons, they all feel really good, but they used MW2 maps, and we've complained about this, but they have been adding a bunch of new maps, and all the new maps are really good. And I bet if they launch with those new maps, people would like it a lot more, and maybe the drop off wouldn't be like as bad, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously um like a big problem with the recent CODs, I believe, is not just talking about the customization levels and also like the weapon balancing, but I would say a big thing too is the lack of innovation on the maps. You know,
Hmm.
I think that's something that's made COD kind of suck over the past few years, is because from like thinking about the like our favorite era of Call of Duty, all those maps were unique. They all had certain things about them that made them unique, and they were all different from one another. And they played phenomenally.
Hmm.
There weren't really many dud maps back then. It just seemed like the amount of care that was put into those maps was really good, and they had the replayability there. Whereas you think about from MW to Vanguard, I mean Cold War will leave out. But MW2 and then MW3 really being, I would say, like one of the first CODs where I like the maps, the new ones that they've added. There's not a lot of them that I think are really that bad.
Hmm.
Um, I think in past years that's been a big problem. The maps have just sucked, and people have complained about it, being like, "What
Hmm.
what is this shit? We want
Yeah,
better
yeah.
maps." They just like they're slapped together.
Hmm.
They don't make sense, and it's you can see that too with like the spawn systems and stuff. They just don't put enough care into this stuff that for some reason 10 well what yeah 2011 and 2009 and stuff 15 years ago this was pretty intuitive. Now
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff's gone out the window.
Yeah, and obviously COD's evolved, like, over the years, and people have got came and left, Activision, those developers, but COD's bigger than ever, number-wise. I'm sure they have the resources to get the best art designers, game designers, map designers for, these Call of Duty maps, right? And they even have professional players like at their hand too, where they can come and specifically help create custom maps or tell you like their idea, right? And then work with like an artist or whatever. Um, and all that stuff's there. And on top of that, if they want to focus on weapons too, because it's clear they've focused more on the gunsmith than like the maps, in my opinion. They can do that too. They have enough resources. Activision's probably like, I know, actually no, they are killing it in just revenue every
Yeah.
year. They're making more and more. Like they have enough to make weapons really good and the maps really good. And
Yeah.
you know, I think Black Ops 6, my hope is that um the maps are gonna bang. They're gonna be really good because they're gonna make new maps and they're also gonna bring, a couple like fan favorites, right? Nuketown, I'm sure Raid, Standoff, those will all come back at some point. Um, they need to implement the pick 10 system. That was the best system in COD. And they innovated that, right? Compared to MW2, MW3, where you just pick, your perks and attachments or whatever. Pick 10 helped you balance everything because you really got to choose if you wanted perks or you wanted attachments. Um, they're not going to get rid of tax sprint, but if they got rid of tax sprint, that'd be great. um, and then the game's just going to be way smoother on the new consoles and on the new, what is it called? I forget what it's
New
called.
engine.
Yeah, new engine that like it's built on,
Yeah.
right? So I think Black Ops 6 again, like I'm excited for it and it's gonna bang. And if they do all of that, the game's gonna be really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And I would say like closing on this, the big thing that I think is going to help COD in the future, kind of get out of this tough era, is what Black Ops 6 has had, which is time.
Mhm.
I think nowadays, with how much they're trying to do with Call of Duty because of how big it is, I mean, it's a different game compared to what it was 15 years ago. The
Mhm.
amount of money that's involved in it, on every level is so much more, and the amount of work that has to go into Call of Duty is so much more. And I think what's been an issue, and like we saw that with Cold War, is that these developers haven't had enough time to always be working on these, or maybe have not had all the resources and stuff at their disposal to be able to pull it off. And that's why I'm really hopeful with this, because they've had full 4 years to be able to make this game.
Mhm.
Um, so there's really no excuse
Mhm.
anymore. Um, and
And not to cut you off,
yeah, you're good.
I'm sure Treyarch took full advantage of those 4 years to the best that they
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
And they're the developer that I can imagine that they went one route and then within those 4 years, like Breakables, for example, right? Because this game was being developed with when Vanguard was out.
yeah,
They might have had breakables in there, and then they realized a bunch of fans hate it. They'd be the developer to be like, all right, we're scrapping this entire idea and not going through with this. Like,
yeah,
they don't care if all the maps were already designed and they had it and it was designed. The fans don't like it. We need to get rid of it.
yeah. Because dude, if I heard that Breakables were in this game, I'd be like, nope.
Yeah.
And so many people would just be like, shit, here we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. They're one of those teams that would tweak the game as all the years have gone on since Vanguard, just to be able to see what people are liking and not liking. Um, because yeah, I mean, the amount of faith that people have in them, and what they got to live up to. I mean, they got a lot riding on this game, so they got
Mhm.
to make it as good as they can, and they know that, and they're going to deliver anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but I seriously think that this COD is going to be, um, a very pivotal moment, for Call of Duty in general. I think I don't know if this is going to be, again, like I said at the beginning, if this is going to be a COD that's way different than what we've had in the past. I personally, I want to say no, I mean, I want to say yes, but I think it's going to be no. I think it's going to play similar to what we have, but it's going to have their spin on it, and it's going to be different enough that I'm cool with it and that I
Mhm,
like it. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um, but again, everybody's been hoping for this game. Um, and again, I have the faith in them. Like we had the faith in Sledgehammer and IW with this game, because of the maps. But then we
mhm,
had that oversight of, well, they didn't really change the maps to be able to suit the game,
mhm.
so it just
That
didn't quite work out.
yeah, and that's the thing because going back to like the amount of time that they had, we almost had 2 years of MW2,
Yeah.
and we practically did, um, basically,
Mhm.
right? But I've said it before, Sledgehammer, I will give them props because they have listened to the community and they fixed everything that MW2 did wrong.
Yeah.
Like they added red dots back. Very simple.
Yeah.
They sped up the game with side canceling. Cool. Um, and they've been pretty responsive about like updates and stuff too.
Yeah.
Compared to MW2, where I feel like we didn't hear anything about updates. And
Say they were Vanguard.
yeah, and Sledgehammer, when they put out roadmaps, the amount of content that they're adding is insane for Warzone, multiplayer, and like somewhat zombies.
Right.
But the amount of content that we're getting now in this game compared to last year is insane.
Yeah, it
We're
is
getting
insane.
way, way more. So Sledgehammer's like fixing, everything that Infinity Ward did and adding more, which is what the standard should be. But Treyarch has the advantage of, all right, we've had 4 years seeing like what these guys are messing up and what we can like perfect, and they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like they definitely will. They've learned.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're gonna do it. And again, I think this will be a big moment for everybody to see if they can really drag us out of the dark ages here and have
Mhm,
people really hyped about COD, especially too because X Defiant people are clamoring for that, being that it plays like an old COD, and it does well. Well, it is doing well,
mhm,
and I hope that with Black Ops 6, this is a title where it's like, yeah, we're in the future of Call of Duty here, and the future is really good.
mhm,
It's a phenomenal game. It lives up and it kind of negates a lot of the things I was just saying before about how, in recent years Call of Duty slipped regarding the quality level.
mhm.
Um, and I hope they just, yeah, they set the standard for what it needs to be in the future.
Yeah, and Treyarch is the best developer in Activision to lead that, and
Not even a doubt.
they will do it. They
Yeah.
will do it, and
Just
then,
gotta
like you
believe.
said, it's going to be a pivotal moment for COD
Yeah.
because you know every year so far, uh, it's been a little bit different. Like
Yeah.
this year has definitely been the best year, I would say. Like if you take out Cold War,
Yeah.
um, I mean, you can even kind of throw Cold War in there a little bit, but just because like Treyarch didn't have the full time to develop that game.
Yeah.
Like I remember when Cold War was rumored to not even come out because they weren't far in development.
Yeah. And everybody
And
was hating on it.
yeah, exactly. And it came out and it's the best one in 5 years.
Yeah. And
So
I don't think there's any debate about that.
yeah, so well, people might debate the 2019.
Ah, give me a reason.
Yeah, right.
Give me a
Cold
reason.
War is definitely the best. And then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Go load
definitely
into
say
Piccadilly, bro.
yeah. I definitely say Cold War, MW3. MW3 is like up there. MW2. Actually, no. Vanguard and MW2 are pretty close. And then 29. I don't know. Those games are just shit. They're at the bottom. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah. No, they're in another realm for me. All three of those
Yeah.
games are complete trash at the bottom.
Yeah.
Um,
Cold War and MW3 are definitely
the
up
top
there.
tier games, yeah.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, man. I mean, I don't really have much else to say with it. I personally think, like, answering my question, straight up, yes or no, is Call of Duty getting worse? I would say, financially, no, but player experience, yes.
I
I
would
would say
agree.
that. I would say player experience, it is getting
Mhm.
worse, but there could be people that are yelling with their pitchforks. Let us know in the comments. What do
Yeah.
you think? You think it's getting better or getting worse? We'll have it in the poll too, just as a yes or no. And if you
Mhm.
want to elaborate on it, you can go to the YouTube and give us a whole reason or what you think your best era or your favorite era of COD was. Because we said ours is from COD 4 to about Black
BO2.
Ops 2. I would say
Mhm.
that for sure is the glory era. You
Mhm.
know, we may have some jetpack stands,
That's fine too. Some
and
people
that's cool.
might have even been alive during the era that we
Yeah.
really played. So,
Or, bro, last thing is there's kids, like the kids at school, man. Those guys, they grew up in this era.
yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
said,
I'm sorry for
I,
that.
I tell them that much. I tell them, I'm like, dude, you don't know how good it was. They're
Mhm.
like, what about, they're like, you ever play Black Ops 3? I'm like, let me sit you down.
Yeah.
Let me tell
Yeah.
you a
No,
story.
dude, that's why the kids are going to, like, Valorant
Yeah,
and,
bro.
like, stuff because those games are that's, like, their COD and, like,
Yeah.
Fortnite,
Yeah.
like, they just don't know because COD
Yeah.
hasn't captured them yet.
Yeah. Black Ops 6 will, though.
Yeah, Black Ops 6 will.
I talk to them all the time. I'm like, "You guys see Black Ops 6?" They're like, "Dude, it's June 9th." I'm like, "Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming
It
out."
I can't wait. Yeah, I mean, by the time you guys see this, it's
It's already
been
been
out for
long
a
out.
while.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, Black Ops 6 will that's gonna be the game.
It's gonna
Very,
be
very excited for that game.
yeah.
Um, and actually, side note too, you guys probably know this by now, but like they're adding theater mode back,
I saw
which
this, dude.
is
Dope.
that's awesome. I don't know why they ever took that away, but it's cool.
Again, another thing I don't understand. Nobody ever
Mhm,
complained about theater mode being in the game.
mhm.
People loved it. I'm like, "Dude, you could
Yeah.
just save all your clips here. It's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't gotta be saving stuff on your PlayStation and
Taking up
taking up space
space.
on there." Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
just do it in theater mode. Yeah. And you know too,
W
there
Treyarch.
yeah, no. And you
Yeah.
know too, bro, they're probably gonna add cool filters and stuff. Like if you wanna take
Mhm.
like photos in the game of whatever, like you know they're gonna be doing that stuff,
Yeah, and then
you
it'd be
know?
cool if you because now you have, like, your own COD profile, you can, like, upload clips to your COD profile, and you
You
can go and view other people's clips.
dude, you already know they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
You already know. They're gonna you can go on your friends list, you can go on like a
Mhm,
hub, you can see top rated clips or something like that, you know, it's
mhm.
gonna be sick.
Yeah. Treyarch knows
Oh,
what they're doing.
I can't wait, can't wait.
And to end it on that, right? And, you mentioned the last episode we recorded actually for you guys, it was, like, 3 or 4 weeks ago, but you got the Nate Shot's new shoes, right? The Rival?
I did.
So mine did come in the mail today.
Hell
Yeah. And
yeah.
let me show you guys this goddamn Adidas. What the fuck are you doing? Because shoes are shoes are fire. But let Mike just prepare yourself for
Hold
this.
on, hold on, hold on.
Whoa. Dude, if you guys are
I
still
swear to
here and
God,
listening,
you haven't yeah, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. And if you guys picked up the shoes, like let us know.
Yeah, they're yeah. Okay,
This
let me see.
box, I'm
Let's see it.
throwing away, bro.
Well, let's see it, dog. Dog, what the
Adidas, what the
fuck?
fuck did you do?
Dude,
And
dude, hold on.
USPS, bro.
So, for people who don't know,
It's a
this is
regular
what a
Adidas,
box is supposed to look like.
dude.
Bro,
I get USPS
USPS
fucked up,
done.
but Adidas, I blame Adidas too. Cause, dude, wait, look at this. They didn't even construct the
Wow,
box
bro.
right.
Wow, bro.
I
They
opened it,
jacked
bro.
yours.
It opened up like this.
Oh,
Yo,
man.
Nate Shot, do I need to tweet you? No, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna tweet
I
you.
mean,
It's not your
dude,
fault, but
yeah, it's not your fault, but be like, dog.
shoes are wrapped up, but
Yeah,
dog.
thank God. Dude, that box went through war. Went through
What the
Verdansk
fuck
to
is
get to
going
your
on?
throw it.
Look, it fell apart.
Yeah, dog. That's crazy. Damn.
Bullshit. Trash.
You go on there. Nate Shot, the
Nate.
worst shoe ever.
Shoes are
Adidas,
fire.
you know.
Adidas, though.
Dude.
I should tweet
Adidas.
him at.
Dude,
Adidas, what'd you
seriously.
do?
I think we
Be
might,
like, yo,
bro.
Nate, can we get like custom boxes?
Yeah, dude. Can I get a brand new box, dog?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's dude.
No bullshit. Might
I
actually do that.
Dude, no, I'm not even bullshitting, dude. You should do that. That's unacceptable. A couple of little dings, it's whatever.
Oh
But
yeah,
dude, that box went through
I
hell.
I picked it up. I'm like, why does this thing feel flat?
Yeah.
Like the box just caved in.
That's insane,
I
bro.
know. I should take a
That
picture and tweet out, be like, "Yo, got my shoes. What do you guys think?" Of just a box.
Yeah,
Be
bro.
like, "Fire."
Dude, it's gas, bro.
Yeah, this is insane. Nate's gonna respond, "Brother,
You're
what
like
happened?"
you're like, "Dude, I just got these." You're like, "There's no shoes in here."
Yeah. I put different shoes inside.
Yeah, you put in a pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that.
If you did get a pair, congrats. They're sick shoes. I
Yeah,
love
they are
them.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Your box is ass, though.
Oh yeah, box is
Yeah.
going in the trash.
Yeah, bro. I was
Recycling.
gonna Yeah, we were talking
Recycling that
before, and
thing.
we're like, "Dude, might save the box, like, if it's a good box, and cool, because it's just got,
I
like,
definitely would have.
Yeah, but dog,
Yeah.
yeah, there ain't nothing there's nothing to
There's nothing to
save.
say. Yeah,
There's
literally
nothing to
nothing
save.
to say. Guess
It's
what?
it's it's
I'm
crumbling.
gonna have to wear them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, you can't even display them anymore, forget
Yeah,
about it.
whatever.
No. But, alright, bro. We'll wrap it up on that
Sign us
note.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys are on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you think COD has gotten better or worse in most recent years. What do you think? If you agree with us or you completely hate our takes, and let us know. We're here to debate.
Yeah.
um, we're also on anchor.fm/the COD Casuals. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. And we leave polls specifically on Spotify. So if you want to go and answer a question there, we're always looking there. We're also on TikTok and Instagram Reels. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, cut it up and post it over there. And lastly, 5-star rating, because that does help us out a
Always.
ton, boosts us up to the #1 Call of Duty podcast in the world.
Hell yeah.
And we're gonna get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, but not with no 4-star bullshit.
Yeah, we can't get 4 stars. But yeah, thank you everyone. This has been episode 175 of the COD Casuals. We're your host Justin,
And I'm Mike.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.